everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about 3 gun brands that I would not trust for self-defense. Meaning in any capacity, any self-defense capacity, would I ever trust these brands to defend my life? Or their firearms, at least. Excuse me. No, not at all. So I'm going to get right into it. Some of these might be obvious. Some of these, honestly, some of these might just upset a couple of people. Who knows, right? So no more talking, no more beating around the bush. Let's get right into it. For starters, and this one seems pretty obvious to me, Hi-Point. It seems pretty obvious why I'm not going to trust any Hi-Point with my life. One, I value my life more than $300 for the carbine and like $100 for the pistol. I value my life more than that. So let's just start with that there. There's a certain level of, cheap where it's like, okay, yeah, this is too cheap. You know what I mean? This is definitely going to be a bad product. And I think the Hi-Point is a perfect example of that. Most people, they sit there and they just look at the price when they're shopping for a gun sometimes, and they end up getting something like the Hi-Point, and they hate it. They hate it, and guess what? On top of hating it, they can't get anybody to buy it off of them. Most stores don't even want a Hi-Point. What are they going to give you for it? You might have to pay them to take it off of your hands, to be real with you. Like, you might not even get anything out of it. You might have to owe them money for them taking that gun from you. The Hi-Point is that bad. Unreliable. Let's not even talk about how ugly it is. I'm not going to bring that up, even though I just did. But unreliable, single stack, blocky. I've held one before. They are not light guns necessarily, especially for how blocky and big they are. Overall, just not a good choice. There's so many better options when it comes to any brand you can pick for self-defense than Hi-Point. There's no other way around it. It's bad when excuse me. It's bad when out of, I believe it's 7 or 8 rounds that the Hi-Point can hold. I've seen it with one magazine malfunction 3 of those rounds. People can argue for the Hi-Point all they want to. Oh, well, if you do this and then you do that and this and that, then it'll work. I just would rather not have to do anything to my self-defense gun. I'd rather it be able to work out of the box. You know what I mean? That's why I pay extra to get a good gun when it comes to self-defense. If I want a gun that I don't care about and I'm not going to use for self-defense, and I'm buying just to buy or buying just to shoot, then yeah, maybe I'll look at some super cheapo gun. You know what I mean? I'm not going to look at, something of quality. But when we're talking self-defense here, would I ever trust Hi-Point? Any firearms from the brand Hi-Point? Not at all. Moving on. Next, and this one, it's going to hurt some feelings here. You know what I mean? I don't really get why personally, but Kel-Tec. I will never trust any Kel-Tec firearm with my life. People might try to argue, oh, well, what about the Sub 2000? It takes Glock mags, all this other stuff. I really don't care for that gimmicky folding PCC thing. If I really wanted a folding PCC, you know what I could do? I could sit there and just get the Smith & Wesson one that I know is more functional. And not to mention, it doesn't fold up. I know the newer models of the Sub 2K, fold and turn so that way you can still have a dot on it. However, the Smith & Wesson, I can English. The Smith & Wesson ones fold, like, instead of being like this, right? Straight out, fold like that. The Kel-Tec Sub 2000s, really any Kel-Tec firearm, I've never seen perform to a high quality or a high standard, I guess you could say. I've never seen them perform at a good level. The reason why is because they can't perform at a good level. All in all, a majority of Kel-Tec firearms, look, here's a better example. It's bad when it's a meme in the gun community that Kel-Tec firearms is literally all their firearms are created by cokeheads using Florida Beach plastic. It's bad when that's the meme about the brand. Like, I don't think I should say any more here. I'm a Floridian, and I can sit here and say I've seen what they're doing at Keltec, as far as what they're releasing. And if you just do some simple Google searches, you will too. And yeah, I can see where people are getting the idea that this is just a bunch of cokeheads that are making guns here. Most of them aren't. Most of them aren't reliable or functional. And not to mention, a lot of them looks insanely goofy. They look stupid sometimes. I mean, of course, there are certain exceptions to the rule. There might be there might be a couple of cases. I'm not going to say one or two, but there might be a good few cases where some people are like, oh, well, my Keltec works just fine. Sure. But compare that to every other person who has had negative experiences with them. You're going to be outnumbered. That's just how it works. Now, with that being said, that wraps it up for number 2. I would never trust a Keltec with my life. I don't know what to tell you guys. If you guys would comment down below why. Same goes for the High Point. If you would trust a High Point for self-defense, meaning your life would be on the line, go ahead and comment down why. I'm very confused and would like to know as to why. Now, this one is the one that I bet most people were not going to expect. One that would, I guess, ruffle your feathers, And this one is Bear Creek Arsenal. I believe I've kind of spoken about Bear Creek Arsenal recently. What? Recently. There we are. Gosh. But I believe I've spoken about Bear Creek Arsenal recently, and not in detail or anything. However, I've been looking at a lot of reviews of their firearms because generally speaking, they make a lot of cheap firearms. Not cheap in a bad way, but they're selling them for cheap. So you want to check out to see if they're quality or, if you're getting a good deal or really if you're getting what you pay for in a more realistic sense. And I have not seen too many great reviews. I'll be 100% honest. Now, this brand is pretty much the only brand in this video that I haven't had some form of at least, I guess, interacting with in the sense of, taking a good look at their firearms or whatever. I've been able to obviously take a good look at High Points and Keltecs without just going through the gun stores and everything because nobody wants to buy them. So it's like, oh, I guess they're there. Let me look at them and just see how bad they are. But besides the point I'm getting at is Bear Creek Arsenal overall, you might know them for their $400 AR-15s, essentially. You might know them from essentially their uppers breaking in less than 100 rounds, and it's not a great thing. Out of all the reviews I've watched around them, the one that stood out to me the most was going to be from Reno May. And the reason why that is that dude had 2 complete different uppers, ordered completely under different names. So that way it's not a matter of, oh, the gun company knew it was him and they sent him a lemon or they sent him a really good one, like some people would try arguing. Complete different names is what these uppers were under. And both the same thing, 10.5 inch 7.62 by 39 AR uppers, and both broke less than 100 rounds. Or at least one of them, the firing pin broke. I can't remember what the other one was, but both of them were not able to really be used anymore. That's not good. I'm sorry, but I put more than 100 rounds through my firearms just to check to see if I would want to use them for self-defense. Like, I haven't even decided whether or not I'm truly going to use the dagger for self-defense yet, and I've almost put 1,000 rounds through it at this point. You see what I mean? It's something that people don't realize is when it comes to, what brand you're picking for self-defense, beyond just the brand, you have to do research on the brand, what issues they've had. If you do decide to get this firearm from this brand, despite knowing the issues they've had and the reputation the brand has as a whole, then you do want to do extensive testing with it. You know what I mean? And most people don't do that. So to find out that something breaks in less than 100 rounds is ridiculous. That is less than 4 mags. Or at least if you're in a free state, that's less than 4 mags. That's absolutely insane. There's no justification for that. Now, with that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Go ahead and comment down below if you would use any firearms from these brands for self-defense. Whether you would use any High Point, any Keltec, any Bear Creek Arsenal firearm, whatever you would want, whatever you say you would use for self-defense, if you would use any of those, comment down below why. I want to see. But I think that about wraps it up. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And whether or not you agree with me, but I can tell you right now, I agree with me. Like, I would not use any of those brands, any firearm from those brands for self-defense. Whether or not you agree with me, make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.